The big Ukraine-Poland showdown, friends on paper and foes in real life. Huge loss to Ukraine, and now the Czechs and Hungarians have joined too.
Welcome to TFIGlobal, the antidote to mass delusion.
The situation is pretty serious. The Kyiv ministry shared some numbers to show the impact. In November, only about 282,000 tons of Ukrainian exports made it across the Polish border. This is a 40% decrease compared to what was happening the month before. It's a big change and shows how much these protests are affecting things. It's not just a general slowdown either. At some border checkpoints, the ministry noticed that exports have almost completely stopped. In others, they've been reduced by half. This means that, at certain places, very little is getting through. This problem isn't only about exports. Taras Kachka, Ukraine's deputy economy minister, pointed out that imports are suffering too. He thinks that Ukrainian imports probably went down by at least 20% last month because of these blockades. So both sending goods out and bringing goods in are being hit hard by these protests. It's a tough situation for Ukraine's trade. Ukraine is currently in a tough battle for its survival due to Russia's invasion. This situation has brought a harsh reality to light for Ukraine. While governments might show support, the people of those governments might not feel the same way. This difference in perspective is becoming clear through recent events involving truck drivers from Poland and Slovakia. The protests started with Polish truckers. They've been blocking road crossings with Ukraine since November 6th. Their actions are more than just a protest. They're a strong expression of frustration from the Polish blue-collar workers. They feel that Ukraine, with the European Union's backing, is taking away their jobs by offering cheaper transport services. This is a significant issue for them, impacting their livelihoods. Now this movement has spread to Slovakia. Truck drivers there, with support from Hungarian counterparts, are blockading Vyshne Nemecke. This is the only border crossing for heavy trucks between Slovakia and Ukraine. The effect of these blockades is far-reaching for Ukraine. The impact of these protests on Ukraine is multifaceted. Economically, it disrupts trade and supply chains, making it hard for Ukraine to maintain normal economic activities. Militarily, it could affect the transport of necessary equipment. Politically, it puts Ukraine in a challenging position as it struggles to balance its immediate needs with longer-term diplomatic relations. Psychologically, it's a blow to morale, both for the government and the people, as they see their neighbors' actions directly contradicting governmental support. Polish truck drivers have spoken to the media about the struggles they face, highlighting personal and business challenges. They emphasize their responsibilities, like feeding their families and running their businesses, which are being affected by the current situation. The core of their complaint is about facing unfair competition from Ukrainian truckers. According to them, Ukrainian drivers benefit from cheaper fuel and less strict rules about working hours, giving them a competitive edge over the Polish truckers. Additionally, the Polish drivers have raised concerns about how they're treated by Ukrainian customs officials. They claim there's a clear bias at the border. Empty trucks from Poland and other European Union countries often face delays in what should be quick customs clearances. In contrast, trucks from Ukraine that are fully loaded are allowed to pass through more swiftly. This unequal treatment at the border is another major point of contention for the Polish truckers, adding to their frustration and sense of unfairness in this situation. Countries are experiencing internal challenges and shifts which are affecting their stance on broader issues, including the situation with Ukraine. Poland is currently facing political uncertainty. This follows the October elections, where the Law and Justice Party, despite being a minority, continues to govern. They are trying to prevent a coalition led by Donald Tusk from taking office. This political instability in Poland adds to the complexity of the situation, especially considering their border with Ukraine. In Slovakia, the likely upcoming government under Robert Fico is known to harbor deep resentment towards Ukraine. This sentiment is significant as it influences Slovakia's actions and policies regarding Ukraine, especially in the current context of border tensions. Meanwhile, the Hungarian government is known for its hostile stance towards the authorities in Kiev. This long-standing animosity plays into the current dynamics, particularly with the involvement of Hungarian truckers in the blockade at the Slovak-Ukraine border. Amidst these developments, the European Union seems to be struggling to exert effective influence. There's a sense that, while the EU is concerned about the growing blockade on its external frontier, it lacks the political clout and vision to effectively intervene. The expectation that the EU should be more proactive in resolving these issues, perhaps even banging heads together, is not being met. Germany, traditionally seen as a leading force in Europe, appears to be increasingly distant from assuming any significant leadership role in these matters. This absence of German leadership is notable in the context of the current crisis. The United States, which in the past might have stepped in to mediate such disputes, seems preoccupied with other global issues. With its attention focused on situations like Israel, Gaza, and China, the US is less engaged in these seemingly smaller European disputes. This lack of involvement from a traditional global mediator further complicates the situation.